We're going to be talking about today is how to stop self-sabotage by reprogramming your subconscious mind. So what I want to do to begin this session is just to define what I mean when I'm talking about self-sabotage and also what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the subconscious mind. So self-sabotage is essentially a phrase that describes the habits or the patterns that you continually fall back into that are not getting you to where you want to be. So it's likely that you have some kind of idea or some kind of goal in mind for how you would want your life to look, how you would want it to feel, what you would want to be experiencing. And you're kind of confident that you want that in your life. However, as you move towards that, you're constantly tripping, right? You're tripping, you're stumbling, you're falling back into old habits, you're falling back into old patterns. And this is the cycle that happens again and again. So you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And you're feeling like you're never actually getting to where you want to get to. You're never actually achieving that state that you want to experience. And so this is what I call self-sabotage. It's essentially when we're getting in our own way. We're making progress and then we're allowing ourselves to go back to old ways of being, old habits, old qualities, old traits. And it's got a lot to do with our subconscious mind and the programming that we have in our subconscious mind. So today I'm going to also highlight the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, because if you didn't already know, there are these two aspects of your mind. Most people think that they just have a brain and they just have a mind and that's it. However, there's really these two aspects. There's the conscious aspect of your mind, and this is your thinking, like your immediate thinking. Usually it's very your surrounding environment. It's the people that are in the environment, the things that are happening in your environment, everything that you are immediately conscious of within your, within your world, within your reality. That's generally the conscious, right? Now, the subconscious is it's a bit more subtle, right? It's happening beneath the surface. It's not happening in your, conscious environment. It's happening beneath the conscious, right? So it happens kind of down in the body almost, right? You can imagine there's a guy called Bob Proctor who gave this he gave an image to help define this subconscious and conscious. So I'm going to just share that with you now on the whiteboard so that you can get a bit of a visual representation of what I'm talking about. But essentially, he had this circle up here, and then he had this other circle down here, and this bottom circle was much bigger, right? So it was kind of like this. It was like a body, a head and a body. And so this was the small circle up here is the conscious mind, right? And then down here, the big circle is the subconscious, right? So this is kind of like a visual representation of what it looks like. Your conscious mind is also only responsible for 5% of what you experience, right? Now, your subconscious is responsible for 95% of what you experience. So most of the time, we're actually running our life off of our subconscious mind. Now, our subconscious mind is all of our memories, all of our habits, all of our qualities, our personality, our identity, right? It's our belief systems, our thoughts and emotions about things, the stories that we tell ourselves. Usually, all of that is subconscious. So you have got this huge body of beliefs, ideas, memories, emotions, qualities, traits that are very unique to you. And they are all programmed into your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of the things that you experience in your life, right? There's a quote by a famous psychotherapist, and it says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, by Carl Jung, right? So what he's essentially referencing there is that until we make this subconscious, you can also call it the unconscious if you want to. It's kind of, they're similar words, similar meanings. Until you make this unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So when it comes to self-sabotage, until you make this 95% of your beliefs, stories, identity, memories, all of that, until you have a deep, honest self-reflection and self-requiry, this 95% of your subconscious will direct your life and you will call it fate. So you will go, why am I still experiencing this stuff again? Like, why does it feel like I'm self-sabotaging? Why am I going back to these old ways of doing things? Why am I going back to the drinking? Why am I going back to the relationship? Why am I going back to the self-doubt, right? Why am I going back to, these kind of lower states of being? Now, you might even have the self-awareness to be able to catch yourself on this, right? What I notice, I can tell you a story about just the weekend, right? The weekend just gone. I had an experience where I felt like I was going back into an old energy. So it's almost like you're going back to an old energy, right? It's almost like you're regressing or relapsing back into an old energy, right? So I had a couple of glasses of wine. It wasn't even many, right? I had 3 glasses of wine. And I felt that same energy of like when I used to drink, because I don't really drink much anymore, right? But when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I used to drink a lot. And it wasn't about the drinking, but it was about actually the energy behind the drinking. I would be drinking because I was trying to, get to confidence or get to a different state of being. I was drinking to avoid what I was currently experiencing. So I would drink because I didn't want to feel like bored, or I didn't want to feel like, not confident, or I didn't want to feel whatever I was feeling. So I would drink to get away from it. Now, on the weekend, I only had 3 glasses of wine. But when it wasn't about the wine, because you can have 3 glasses of wine and it can be fine. It's not 3 glasses of wine, it's not a big deal, right? But what I felt underneath the surface was that I was drinking those glasses of wine to get away from the state that I was in. And so the state that I was in also wasn't very bad. It was just like I was tired and I was kind of a bit done, so to say. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm just done. I'm gonna have a glass of wine. And then I had one, and then I was like, I'm gonna have another one. And then I was having 2 glasses of wine, and then I was like, oh, I'm feeling all right. I'm gonna have a third one, right? And then the next day I woke up with slightly, just a slight hangover. And I'm talking about the minutiae here, but you guys might be experiencing much more than this. And it might be not wine or drinking. It might be something else that you're using as your mechanism. But I'm just using this as an example. And so the next day I was doing some self-reflection because I often do that. I'm a very deep thinker. I'm always thinking about myself. And I was going, yesterday, that wasn't coming from a good energy. I wasn't drinking because I wanted to enjoy having a drink with people, right? Because sometimes that's okay. You just want to have a drink with someone, it's okay. I wasn't drinking for that reason yesterday. I was drinking for the reason of like, I need to escape something, right? And so then I was doing this reflection of like, this is not who I want to be. This is the old self, right? This is that old energy, right? And so you could apply this same logic to anything that happens in your life, right? Where it doesn't need to be to do with drinking. It could be to do with decision making. It could be to do with like your work, for example. I know sometimes people start to like really feel like they need to work, 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 work. We have what's called protective mechanisms or coping mechanisms, right? And so you have to develop the self-awareness to recognize when you are leaning on your coping mechanisms in an unhealthy way. That does take self-awareness, right? This is why doing self-development work can be so powerful, right? Doing some of the work that I teach and the coaching is so powerful because you develop the self-awareness to have that self-reflection, and then you can go, well, if I'm really honestly reflecting at myself, why was I doing that yesterday? Like, why was I doing that thing? Right? Because when you have the self-awareness of why was I drinking like that? Why was I having those 3 drinks? It was because I was trying to escape something. And that was coming from a subconscious program, right? That's something that I had learned from my childhood. That was part of my conditioning. Now, I'm just sharing this story with you about my experience because you will have the same things happening in your life, I guarantee it, in one way or another. And so the mission for you is to start to identify when that old self or that subconscious is coming up, right? So the first thing that I really wanted to kind of, teach in this lesson here is really to overcome self-sabotage, you've got to have self-awareness. You've got to have the self-awareness to recognize and notice when you are acting from an old program, an old subconscious program. Because what we're also going to talk about now is how do we reprogram our subconscious mind. And the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to have the self-awareness to catch yourself when you are acting out of an old unconscious program, which is what I just shared with you that I did on the weekend when I was drinking, right? I had that was 3 glasses of wine. That was on Friday. On Sunday, it was my second wedding anniversary, and I had 2 passion fruit margaritas, right? Because I went out to lunch with my missus, and we had a really nice lunch. And the guy who was, serving us, he said, we've got this passion fruit margaritas, which was the barman's special, and I had 2 of them. But for that experience, I was just enjoying a passion fruit margarita with my wife, and it wasn't a big deal, right? She wasn't drinking because she's pregnant, but I had a couple of margies, and it was nice, right? But the energy in it was totally different. I was there celebrating something with my wife, and it was beautiful, and it was really nice. But on Friday, it was different. I was having a couple of glasses of red because I wanted to escape something. I had a big week, and I'd also just taught a mastermind, an in-person event, right? So I was kind of drained. And if you guys are on this call, right, you are working with me, you're coaching with me, you know about that event. I ran the event 8 hours of just go, 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 8 hours of like pumping. And so at the end, I was like, whoa, deflated. And then one of the guys said, do you want to go for a glass of wine? I had 1 glass, and then I had 2 glasses, and I had 3 glasses, right? And like I said, it wasn't a huge deal. It's not a big deal. But the next day, I could just recognize the subtle difference. And this is what I'm getting to you guys, right? You've got to start to be able to recognize and be self-aware of this subtle little change in your energy, because it's very subtle, and you need to have a good level of self-awareness, right, to pick it up. And because the sooner that you pick it up, the sooner that you can change it, right? So we're going to talk about reprogramming the subconscious mind and how do we do that. But the first thing, and I'm really just going to drill this home one more time, you need to have the self-awareness to be able to pick up on when you're going back to that old energy, because to change it, you need to pick up on it. So for example, on the Saturday, I was like, okay, cool. That was an old energy. I don't want to do that anymore. That's just not part of my identity anymore. I do not want to have that as an aspect of my identity, right? And so then I can work on changing it, right? And I can make a decision to change, right? I sent out an email talking about this workshop yesterday and how to beat self-sabotage. One of the things you got to do is you got to decide to be different. So you have to have the self-awareness to recognize when you're doing some shit that you don't want to be doing. And then you've got to have a decision to do it differently. You've got to make a firm decision of like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do it differently, right? So self-awareness and decision-making, those are the first 2 things. This final thing that I'm going to talk about now is how do we actually reprogram the subconscious mind? So I'm going to bring up this whiteboard again. All right. So like I said, you've got this subconscious and this unconscious. It runs 95% of your life, right? So the only reason why I had those wines is because that's something that was a program in my subconscious mind. I actually learned from my dad, right? When I feel tired or when there's too much, I've been working too hard, then the best way to switch off is to have a glass of wine. My dad's a raging alcoholic, and he has been his whole life, and he still is. So I learned a program off him that I've worked very hard to overcome, which is like, don't drink, right? But my program, my unconscious program, is that if like what I saw from my old man was when you're tired and when you've been working hard, then it's good to drink to switch off. Now, obviously, that's not a healthy pattern, But what I'm just sharing here is that's the pattern that I've learned. Now, you will have patterns from your life that you've learned from someone or something, right? And until you make that unconscious pattern conscious, so until you become aware of that unconscious pattern, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So for me, back in the day, it used to be totally unconscious and I was just doing it, right? And I was just living out in these, self-sabotaging ways without even being aware of it. So that's why I say the first thing you want to do is develop self-awareness. Now, the second thing that we're going to do, I'm going to teach you guys now, is the mind launch method, right? So the mind launch method, I'm going to talk about this from a higher level overview. This is the method that I use to teach my clients how to change their unconscious mind. And part of it is developing self-awareness, right? There is, part one is developing, self-awareness. And we have practices for that, right? Part two is reprogramming the subconscious mind. This is essentially the mind launch method. Part one is to develop self-awareness, and part two is to reprogram the subconscious mind. So what happens, right? We have thoughts and we have emotions, and our thoughts and our emotions equal beliefs, right? So you just need to look at any religion to understand this. People who believe in specific religions, they have a thought or an idea that their religion is the right one, and they feel strongly about it. They're emotionally charged in that belief. You talk to any Christian, you'll see they're emotionally charged in their beliefs, usually if they're going to church a lot and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure if you talk to to an Islamic person as well, or a Muslim, it would be the same thing. They have an idea that Allah is the savior or whatever, and then they have emotions that are strongly attached to that. And so that's what creates the belief. A thought and an emotion combined. A thought with a higher emotional charge creates a belief, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to reprogram the belief systems that we have. So the way that we do that is we have to take our thoughts and our emotions, and we have to start to shift them around. And that's how we're going to create new beliefs, right? Now, this takes, again, a lot of self-awareness because you have to recognize what you're currently doing that's not working, right? Now, beliefs plus consistent confirmation, right? This is how we reprogram the subconscious mind. So essentially what happens is you can develop positive belief systems or negative belief systems, right? So once you have a belief system and you're consistently confirming it, it will become a positive confidence or a negative confidence, right? So what I mean by that is that you can actually be in a state of negative confidence. So, for example, I talk to a lot of people who tell me stuff like, they're not good enough, or they can't do it, or they have these strong beliefs that they are not good enough, right? And they're really convicted in that, right? Or things aren't enough, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or I've got bad anxiety, I can't handle my emotions, I can't meditate, I can't do this, I can't do that, right? But they're very confident that they can't do it, right? Now that would be a negative confidence. So they have a belief that they can't do something, or that, you could think of your own life, like what's the negative belief? Things never work out for me. It's always frustrating around money. Like my partner is always giving me the shits, right? You can have those beliefs, and if you are consistently confirming them, right, it's going to lead to a negative confidence. You're going to be confident that you are not confident. You're going to be confident that you're not good enough. You're going to be confident that your partner's a pain in the ass. You're going to be confident that you're really not good with money, right? You're going to be confident that you can't go for that job. You're going to be confident that the business is not going to work, right? So you can have this thing called negative confidence, right? Everyone says they want confidence, But usually people are they already have confidence, but it's just pointing in the wrong direction. All right. And this is like a negative mindset, essentially, right? So what we want to do and what we do with reprogramming the subconscious mind is we change the thoughts. We start back at this level here. We change the thoughts, we change the emotions, right? We create new beliefs, and then we add consistent confirmation to those new beliefs. And we do that through the mind launch method, where we're every day we are actively going through this process to consistently confirm new belief systems. All right. So there's also this other thing that you have in your brain, which is called the reticular activating system, right? It's called the RAS, right? Now, the reticular activating system, its job is actually to pick up in the environment whatever you believe is true. So currently, if you are believing things, right, your brain is looking for the confirmation about what you believe. It's already doing that, and it's doing it subconsciously. You don't even know that that's happening until probably you become aware of it, which is why I'm teaching you this right now. Your brain is already looking for confirmation of your beliefs. It's already doing that, right? So whatever you're currently believing about yourself and about the world, your brain has a little part of it that is actively looking out and filtering out confirmation that your beliefs are true. So going back to the religious example, right? If you're a Christian, you will see a lot of evidence that Christianity is the way. And you will see not much evidence that Islam is the way. And that's because your brain is looking for confirmation of what you believe. This is why it's so important to do this mindset work and to change your psychology, because your brain is already looking for whatever you believe. So you will experience whatever it is that you're believing, right? Because your brain will literally filter out everything else. It will filter everything out, and so that you can only see what you're believing and what you're thinking. And this is why it's important that we start the day with something like the mind launch method. We develop self-awareness to be able to honestly self-reflect. And then we actually reprogram our subconscious mind, and we start to install like a new program, new thoughts, new emotions, new beliefs. And then what will happen if we do that at the start of the day, throughout the rest of the day, our brain will be primed to look for what we actually want to see. So this is when we can start to create the positive confidence instead of the negative confidence. Because right now, you're probably waking up and just maybe going about your day in on autopilot, right? You just wake up, it's exactly the same as you've always done. And so therefore you just experience the same things over and over again, right? And you don't do anything different to change that, but you expect it to change. Right? It's never going to change if you don't change. If you want to experience a different life, if you want to experience different stuff in your day, a stronger sense of confidence, clarity, freedom, inner peace, if you want to experience those things in your day-to-day life, you've got to start to prime your brain and prime your mindset for those things. And if you can use the mind launch method, reprogram your self-conscious mind, and really develop a higher level of self-awareness, and you start every single day with that, what's going to happen is over time, you'll start to see that, because you'll be creating new beliefs. You'll be creating a new outlook. You'll be creating a new perspective. But it is up to you 100%. It is 100% your responsibility to do that. Nobody else can do that for you. I can't do that for you. I can teach you about things that you can do, but it is your job to implement that and to take 100% ownership for your life and what you're experiencing, right? So no one else will be able to change this stuff for you. It is 100% your responsibility. There is no one coming to save you, and it is absolutely up to you to take control of your own life. And I would even go further to that and say that you are actually the person that you have been searching for. Right. So I know oftentimes we search outside of like, oh, maybe this guy's got the answer, or what are they doing differently? We're always comparing ourselves to others, always looking for like what people are doing differently, right? And we're always looking outside, when really the key is to look inside, right? The key is to look inside. This morning, I went for a run at 5:30, and then I did some meditation on the beach with my mates. And I said to them, I said, okay, we'll do 10 minutes of meditation. I'll come out at 6:15, right? And then in my med, then I went in to my meditation, and I thought to myself, that's a funny thing to say. I'll come out at 6:15. So if I'm coming out, then I must be right now. I'm going in, right? And I was closing my eyes and I was in my meditation, and I was bringing all of my attention, everything in, right? I was looking within, right? And I was spending time getting familiar within. And then at 6:15, I came out, right? And I opened my eyes again and I was out in the real world. Now, most people, or the real world, people call it the real world. Most people spend most of their time external, always looking outwards, right? And never looking in. But I'm telling you, the key is to look in. No one out there is going to change you or your life, right? The only way that you're going to change your life is to learn how to look within. So, if you're already working with me, awesome. If you want to work with me, I'm just going to talk quickly about what it looks like. My job really is to help you look within yourself and help you get connected within yourself, right? So if you want to help with this, right, message me on Instagram, right? The word details, right? And I will send you the details for the coaching program. Now, I know everyone who's live on this call, you guys are already working with me. But if you do want help with this and you're watching the replay or YouTube or something like that, message me the word Instagram on details. I will send you the details for the coaching program that I run. And really, the process that we go through, firstly, is just learning how to develop self-awareness and reduce your stress and anxiety quickly by getting a lot more clear on the kind of life that you actually want to be living, right? And once we get really, really clear on the kind of life that you want to be living, we reduce your stress and anxiety. We can then start to reprogram the subconscious mind by using the mind launch method. We create a blueprint for you, right? So it's very focused on you and what you want. Once we've done that, what you're going to notice is you're going to have these old patterns coming up again and again, these old programs coming up again and again, like I was sharing with you guys today. When we get to that point, then you've got to do some healing work, right? Because it's going to be some emotional healing work. You need to clear out those old memories. You need to reprogram the unconscious patterns. And once you do that, you can start to let go of the past. When you let go of the past, it helps you become a lot more peaceful in the present, helps you become a lot more confident in the present, a lot more calm in the present. And ultimately, what we want to get you towards is feeling a sense of freedom within your own personal life, but also within your external life, right? So it's not just like an inner freedom that I'm trying to help you develop, but it's also a freedom within your relationships, a freedom within your business or your work. Like it's an internal freedom, and that internal freedom creates the external freedom. So if you're wanting some help with that, send me the word details on Instagram. I'll send you the details for the program so you can have a look through everything. And that's it. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you found that helpful. If you're already working with me, keep up the good work, and I will see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Josh. That was good.
Thanks, Kylie. See you later.
Have a good day.